Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Detrone Does It. Of course, I am Detrone and I does stuff. And this week, I'm going to give you guys a step-by-step tutorial on how to make this YouTube thumbnail using Bazaart. If you are not familiar with Bazaart, I would suggest you go get familiar with the app first before trying to do this thumbnail. But the first thing we're going to do is select a YouTube thumbnail as our format. And from that point, I always like to build my text first, so it helps if you know what the name of your YouTube video is going to be, but if not, you can play around with some text just to get started. So here, I'm going to be designing the top 10 horror movies of all time. Now, this is not an actual video that I did. I just made this thumbnail for you guys. All right, so we've already typed in our top and our 10, and now we're going to type in our horror movies. Now, I create them on different lines because I want my text to be different styles, as you can see in the finished product. So each one of these things, with the exception of horror and movies, are going to be on different lines. Once you've got your text on your screen, you don't have to put it where it's going to end up finally, because you'll be able to move this stuff whenever you want. Go ahead and grab some images that you want to use. So in this case, I loaded in an image of Michael Myers. What I'm going to do is use the shape tool to place his head inside of a painted shape. As you can see here, I'm going to do the same thing with Freddy Krueger. I'm going to place his head in a similar painted shape, not the same, but something that's similar to keep the same theme for all of the individual photos that I'll be adding to this thumbnail. We're going to add a couple of more people to our video, since there are a few very recognizable faces in horror movies. You want to add those to the thumbnail because, again, the objective is to get people to click it. So if you use very popular characters like Freddy Krueger, Jason, Pennywise, these are all things that people recognize and increases the likelihood that they will click on your video. So after I've got all of the faces onto our YouTube thumbnail, what I'm going to do is enlarge them, make them slightly bigger, and move them around. Placement is important because you want to make sure that if the faces are supposed to be the center of attention, that you have them placed where they get a lot of attention from the viewers. You don't want them super small or tucked in a corner. Here I am adding a background. So I really like polygons. They give you some really cool colors, and there's a gradient in most of them that I find useful when I'm making my thumbnails. Now, I'm going to grab a random shape here. It doesn't really matter what. I just want something to break up the polygon in the background. So I went to the shape tool, found a random shape. And I'm changing it a random color right now. And I'll show you why in just a second. So I'm going to place this random shape behind my images, and now I'm going to change that random shape. Because we're talking about horror movies, I want something that looks a little more like blood. And now you can start to see that blood in the background gives this thumbnail 2 or 3 dimensions. Now that I've got that blood placed, I am actually just going to change the color of the polygons. The purple doesn't really fit the theme that we're going for, so I'm going for a darker gray, black, white, silver polygon. With that being said, I need to make my letters stand out. So we're going to go and add an outline. An outline is just what it sounds like, an outline of whatever image or number or letters that you click on. So we're adding an outline, and then we're playing with the size to try to get it to match the rest of the letters. Now is a great time, if you guys haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all the support that you guys give, and I love making content like this. So if you got suggestions, let me know down in the comments. I would love to help you guys out. So now what I'm going to do is actually change the font style for my text now that we've got all the text and the images on the page. Again, we're going with a horror movie theme. Bazaart has tons of preloaded fonts inside their app. There's a bunch to choose from, but you can also download fonts on your iPhone and then add those right into the Bazaart app to use them if you prefer those better. So I'm just playing around with different fonts here. Again, the reason I put my text all on different lines is so that I could utilize different font styles for each one of the lines. Because again, if you think about horror movies and the theme of many of the horror movies, you've got sort of the drippy thing, you've got the I Know What You Did Last Summer style, you have a very traditional shaky or scary font, which is what I use for the number 10 in the final product. If you're not familiar with Bazaart, it could be a struggle at first, but if you run this video back, pause it as you work through it on your phone, it will be really helpful with putting together your thumbnails as well. When you find your font, you also want to adjust your sizing for your text to try to make sure that your top 10 can stand out. And horror movies can stand out again. The elements that you really want the viewer to see when they are scrolling past other thumbnails in an attempt to get them to click on yours. So here, I'm actually playing with layers. So if you're familiar with Bazaart, you'll know that if you bring a layer all the way to the top, it's going to be on top of everything else. If you bury it, it will start to fall below the items that you are setting it behind. Again, with creating layers and making this thing look 2 or 3 dimensional, you want to play around with sizing of the heads. You want to play around with the sizing of your blood in the background. You also want to move images. So you want to place Freddy behind Jason, Jason in front of Michael Myers, and see if it makes sense for you. And if it doesn't, then you change it. I would love to hear if you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments below if this was helpful and if there's something that you would like more instruction on. As always, please like, share, subscribe, hit that notifications button, get some alerts, find out when we're dropping new videos, which is every Monday. And if you decide not to like, share, or subscribe, you know what? I won't even be mad at you. Till next time, guys. Peace.